But now they see more. The sun.
Esta es la Iglesia de la Agonía. Es una iglesia católica, pero podemos ver ahí, de este lado, los muros de Jerusalén. Y esos son los árboles más viejos. Y ahí vemos el valle del Cidrón. Y vamos a ver, esta es la iglesia de la Agonía.
Tradicionalmente, esa es.
Please silence inside the church. No explanation inside the church, please.
his days it was actually sealed. But then, if you want to follow to the left, there's a corner of the wall. There's a lower level. You can see big, thicker stones. Those corners are actually Herodian stones, which means this is part of what we call the eastern wall. If yesterday we're in the western wall, you're looking at the eastern retaining wall of the Temple Mount. So though the renovation above is Turkish, it's still the same layout. So if you're talking about this gate in front of us, that is what we call the Eastern Gate, also known as the Gate of Mercy or the Golden Gate. The reason it was sealed because by Judeo-Christian prophecy, this is the gate that the Messiah is going to walk through into the Temple Mount to bring the salvation. And some say it was sealed in the Crusades to stop that. But actually being that, still in the prophecy is that the Messiah is going to come through that gate. Now, there is a Muslim cemetery in the middle, and you hear different stories to why the cemetery is there. Some will tell you that it's there to stop the Jewish Messiah, because Jewish priests, if you're a descendant of the priesthood, last name is Cohen, Levi, Kaplan, Zulai, Kogan, then you cannot walk into a cemetery. You cannot come into next to the impurity of the dead, because we don't have the ashes of the red heifer. One problem, the Messiah isn't a priest. He's from the bloodline of David, from the tribe of Judah. He's not from the descendants of Pinchas, right? He's not a priest. Number two, he's the Messiah. I don't think a cemetery would stop him. Other issues, so then the other tell you, so actually the Muslim put the cemetery there because they also want to rise in the end of days. In Judaism, everybody rises. So the first to rise will be the ones buried on the Mount of Olives. That's why this prime real estate will be there. That's why the location. So again, today that's the reality. We have the Eastern Golden Gate. We're also going to enter Jerusalem from the east through the what we call today Lions Gate, which is our next stop. That's what we can see. You can actually see the Dome of the Rock. The Golden Dome of the Rock. You know, underneath that is the rock, which means that is standing exactly where the temple stood. And by the way, the same area here next to Gethsemane is not just a story that we just read. It's also the whole story of the cursed fig tree. On the way, the same path Jesus walks from Bethany to the Temple Mount. That's when we read the same story. He goes up into the temple, and what does he see? He sees on the way, after the fig tree, goes to the temple. What does he see? He sees people selling the pigeons and the wildlife and the money changers. Where they're not supposed to be on the temple, they're supposed to be in the street next to it. And he's now quoting, depends on which Gospels are you reading. But if you read, if I'm not mistaken, Mark, he's exactly reading the part of Isaiah talking about, let my house be the house of all nations, a house of prayers of all nations. And you take my father's house and made it into a den of thieves. By the way, in Hebrew, there's a little even worse translation to what that means. But he's actually, now here's the argument. Is he a purifier or is he prophesizing his destruction? Depends what does he mean, but then that's you guys. I'm telling you that's interpretation, but that's what we're talking about. And the temple that Jesus sees in his days is actually 2.5 to 3 times the size of the Dome of the Rock of today. So you can try to imagine a big structure seen with the veil open to the east towards the sunrise. That would be the same curtain that tore in the time of crucifixion. So we're now looking at the same way that Jesus is looking at the temple when he's here in the Garden of Gethsemane. This is what they're looking at, this close towards the Temple Mount, and just pointing to where things are. Questions? Yes, sir.
Esa es, ahí tenemos frente a nosotros lo que llamamos nosotros la puerta dorada, donde Cristo, que solamente Cristo, o en este caso para los judíos solamente el Mesías puede abrir, y por ahí va a entrar. Y esto es todavía lo que todavía ese pueblo está esperando, ese Mesías que va a poder abrir esas puertas.